All right, what is going on, everybody? We had a full weekend of college hoops this weekend. I want to talk about Paige Beckers and the Huskies winning the women's national championship. She's on your screen right now. I want to talk about Cooper Flag and the Duke Blue Devils having a huge meltdown against the Houston Cougars in the Final Four. And of course, we're going to preview some NBA games, but we'll save that for the end. If you like what I have to say, like the video. If you have your own opinions, comment them down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. All right, let's see. What should we start with first? Do we start with Duke and the meltdown, or do we start with UConn beating South Carolina? I think let's talk about the women's side of things. Let's talk about the UConn Huskies beating the South Carolina uh, women's team, 82 points to South Carolina's 59. This was pure dominance. There's not a lot to talk about from the game perspective because it was such a huge deficit. It was such a huge win in such convincing manner for the Huskies. I do want to touch on some stuff from the broadcast. I did not watch the traditional broadcast for this game. I watched the Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird broadcast. It was very, very, very funny. It was very interesting to listen to and watch. They said some things that they have a better perspective on this game. Obviously, both WNBA legends, WNBA champions, former UConn Huskies themselves. Both are now retired. Um, so they had some interesting things to say. I want to touch on that, but just to talk about the game a little bit, um, the Huskies have been doing this exact thing, convincingly winning games like the past three games they've played. And like if you miss like the first 10 minutes of a game, um, the game was over, and you should just turn the game off. Okay, well they won. um, let's see here. Yeah, so the last oh shoot, let's see, where is it? The last real competitive game they had was, let me see here. They have this set up so weird. The last competitive game they played. Oh man, I can't even. It wasn't even like a competitive game here. I'm looking through their schedule right now. Um, the last real competitive one was the USC game on March 31st. Um, they obviously UConn won that game 78 to the Trojans 64, but that was the last real competitive game they played. Um, they beat Oklahoma convincingly. They beat South Dakota. They beat Arkansas, um, and obviously they beat South Carolina. Um, like I said, this team, um, if you miss like the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes of a game, and they were up 20, you would just assume they have won, and they did it in convincing fashion. And they did it again last night or last afternoon. Not a spectacular game from Paige Beckers, who's projected to be the number one pick in the WNBA draft, but AZ Fudd had a good game. I forgot to mention her in my preview. Apologize. She was a big part of that game. Sarah Strong, the freshman, 24 points, 10 of 15. Really good. Really, really good game. Um, you didn't really need anything else. They played the game the right way. They were coached brilliantly by Gino Oriema. Now UConn has the most, like, of all time. They have 12 national championships in women's college hoops, all time. Crazy, crazy, crazy number. I think the next one is like 7 or 8. They're miles ahead, and they just keep pumping out really good talent, and they keep finding really good talent. And this is what I predicted. A lot of people had predicted this was going to be the final game of the Huskies versus the South Carolina women's team, and South Carolina just got the brakes beaten off them. Um, Chloe Kittles, 9 points. She was somebody I had my eye on in my preview. She did not show up. She had another stinker of a game. The past 3 games, she had stinkers. Um, where is she? Uh, Mylisa Fuwiley, 9 points. Um, just they just they would literally outclass. This is like if I can put in like layman's terms, like I always talk about this. There's levels to it. You not the same South Carolina team, the same program in South Carolina beat UConn the year previous to this one or the one before that, and they did it in the same fashion, convincing fashion. And the turntables have turned. They turned, and South Carolina just didn't have an answer for anything. They tried to be physical. They tried to obviously force Paige Beckers into a bad game, and she shot the ball pretty freaking terribly. Um, but when she did get into the paint, not make the bucket, make the bucket, she was 7 of 7 from the free throw line. That's the most free throws of both teams. That's the most free throws of a player on both teams, and they just have anything. And one thing that they were saying on the broadcast was that South Carolina didn't have this year. That was the difference in past years was they didn't really have a big. They didn't have like a dominant big to just clean up bad shots, make something out of nothing in the post. They just didn't have anything to really stop what UConn was doing. And those are the differences. Those are the margins. You can go through a whole tournament, a whole series, not having to worry about your center play, just outplaying teams, out muscling teams. But when you run into the team that knows that and the coach that knows that, they're going to expose it, and that's what they did. Um, I don't really have much to say about this game. It was just a master class by the UConn Huskies, who have a tradition of putting belt to ass. I'll say that again. They have a tradition of putting belt to ass, just beating up on teams. Um, I think one of the conversations that was happening when this previous to this game when it was happening was um, does Coach Gina Oriema of the UConn Huskies retire after this? Um, just go out on top. I'm a big proponent of you don't really get to choose when it's over. You usually get told when it's over, you know? And I think he's like oh what, almost 80? He's like 70 something. He's not a young guy anymore. He's been there forever. He's the winningest coach of all time in women's college basketball, I believe. Um, and Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi were having this conversation, and Sue Bird was like, he's probably going to retire. And then this game, everybody saw Sarah Strong put on a performance like she did, 24 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. And by the end of this game, Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird both agreed he's not retiring. He's not going to leave that. And as an outside observer, I always feel like even people that don't want the farewell tour, they sort of want it. They want to be recognized for their accomplishments, for their achievements. Um, and I didn't think it wouldn't come out of the blue that like, oh, I'm going to retire. You just don't do that. You don't do that. In the NBA, it's a little different. In college, you have these kids that, especially on the women's side, who will be here for 4 years if they want to go to the WNBA. Because they have the 4 year clause. They have to play 4 years a in any league or college. They have to be 4 years removed from college or 4 years removed from high school. Pardon me. So you have these kids in this pipeline, as Gino Oriema, as any coach would, where you make a promise to these kids like, hey, I'm gonna be here the whole time. That at least you don't have to say that, but that's the encouragement. That's the stability that a lot of these programs offer, even with the transfer portal and everything, and NIL and all that stuff that's coming to college athletics um, over the past 4 or 5 years. Um, I think that's what makes UConn different. Um, and to South Carolina's head coach Don Staley, that's what's appealing about her too is that she's going to be there. She isn't going to jump ship. She's not going to lie to you. You're going to have some sort of stability, and I think that's what's really differentiating women's college hoops from men's college hoops these days. Is obviously it's been forever since the NBA instated one and done. You at least have to spend 1 year removed from high school in order to get to the NBA. Obviously, like I said, it's different for the WNBA, and everything with the transfer portal now has shaken up men's hoops. And I don't think you still see it in women's hoops if it's just some like bag chaser, like some girl that isn't that good but is just good enough to be in college hoops and she just wants the bag. That's what NIL is. You can pay these kids, and it's not even college athletics anymore. It's like a minor league for these various sports, especially like basketball, football, not so much baseball. Baseball's a little different, but it's a lot. It's a lot, and I know I'm going sort of on a tangent here, not about the game, but about college hoops in general and college athletics. But we could talk about that another time. I just think that's what UConn is. UConn's different, and they've always kept to the game plan, and especially this team. This team went through a lot. It was talked about a lot through the broadcast that this team was constructed in 2020, and when Paige Beckers got on campus, it was expected that they would win a national title. And there were setbacks. There were injuries to Paige Beckers. There were injuries to AZ Fudd. There were setbacks and this and that. And you have the emergence of South Carolina, the other powerhouse in college hoops. You have obviously LSU. You have all these other programs that were boiling, and they finally boiled, and they made it. They won the national championship before you did, and it was one of those things where it was so satisfying for the team, for the players, for everybody involved. And I think one of the things that Paige Becker said was that it involved everybody. You know, a 5 year process is a long time. It involved everybody from literally from the top down, from the I want to say the lowest ranking position, but like the most minimal position at UConn athletics to the highest position. You know, and I think that was really cool. Um, and yeah, and I I I knew this was going to be a tough game. I thought South Carolina would have put up a little bit more of a fight, but that's what UConn does, man. That's what UConn does. Let's switch gears and get to the men's side. The men's side, the how do I want to say this? Um, I don't want. I sound like such a like a I don't know what I sound like, but um, I projected that this game, Duke versus the Houston Cougars. Houston won this game 70 points to Duke 67. Um, Arguably one of the biggest meltdowns in college basketball history from Duke. I had theorized that Houston was not going to go down easy. They were not going to go down easy. It was going to be a hard game for Duke. I had projected, and a lot of people projected Duke to win this game regardless, and they had it in their hands. They had it. Um, Obviously, that's what people want to see. They want to see Duke versus anybody, really, because they are they have the top talent. They have the number one pick in the NBA draft, um, or soon to be number one pick in the NBA draft. They're the biggest name. People love big names. People love buzzwords, but that is not what happened. Um, Houston fought and fought and fought, um, and they never gave up. And Duke sort of, I'm gonna be candid. And I'm gonna say, I did not watch this game in full. I could not find this game on my TV to save my life. So I had watched the highlights. I watched about like 30 minutes of highlights, just different highlights from different sources, just to get a vibe of the game. And the thing, man, the thing that stuck out to me in those last like 3 to 2 minutes was You didn't call a timeout when it's supposed to be a timeout. I'm talking about Duke. They knew they had one timeout and they just didn't use it when they could have used it. There was 30 seconds left in the game. A bad inbound pass, um, bad passing in general, and I didn't love the last shot that Cooper took. I didn't love it. And I watched the post game press conference with Cooper Flag and Concanoopel and their coach, and Cooper said he liked that shot. It was good for him. He put his faith in his work that he's done to um, get to that shot and make that shot and create that shot. I just didn't love it. I didn't love it. I don't think that suited him enough to take that shot. Um, but I don't. Let's not talk about Duke. Let's talk about what the Houston Cougars did. Um, LJ Cryer with 26, leading scorer for their team. Cooper Flag was the leading scorer for Duke with 27. Emmanuel Sharp, 16 for the Cougars, and Roberts, 11 for the Cougars as well. This was such a gritty game. This was such a, how do I say this? Like just like a grimy game. And I think that's why Duke sort of failed in that respect. It was a different sort of grittiness. It was a different thing that I don't think they were used to, that they hadn't gotten to all year. Um, I will say that there was a foul that was called on Cooper Flag. It was an over the back call at the free throw line. I saw it. I am not a Duke fan by any means. I just think that that call was so stupid. I had watched it 3 times. I watched it in slow mo. It wasn't an over the back. It just wasn't. Um, it could have been like a regular foul. Like I don't know. It just wasn't an over the back. It wasn't. It just wasn't. The ball was falling that way anyway. You have to watch the clip to understand it, but the ball was falling towards him anyway. His arm just went slightly over the other guy. He didn't like tackle him or just push into him or anything. He just sort of put his arm in front of him. And when you have a long wingspan, that's what you do. You put your arm in front of the guy and try to tip it or try to tip it backwards to your team. It wasn't a foul, but credit to the Cougars for getting it done. I said in my preview that it was going to be a tough game again, and I just don't think Duke was. You think you're ready for those moments, but you're never ready for those moments. It was they literally lost the game in the last minute to 30 seconds to two threes and a putback and a couple free throws, and that was it. And that was the game, and your season's over. Um, and to talk about some of the other people that did some stuff for Duke last night, or yeah, a couple nights ago at this point. Cooper Flag, 26 points, 4 assists, 7 rebounds. We'll talk about his final shot in a second. Con Canoopel, 16. Tyrese Proctor, 7. Tyrese Proctor just hasn't shown me anything too crazy. Sion James, he was the one who had the bad inbound pass. Um, I believe, and Malawatch with 6 points, 0 rebounds. That's tough. He needs to get those rebounds, and nobody else really did anything for Duke. The last shot for Cooper Flag, um, it was a mid-range turnaround jumper at the free throw line, off an inbound pass from the far side of the floor. I didn't like it. I hated it. I hated it when I saw the clip. I hated it when I just watched it a few minutes ago. It just didn't. I know, I hate to be the guy that's like, well, you shouldn't take that shot because, listen, in those situations, you are looking for a wide open shot. You are looking for a wide open shot. You don't want to make it any harder on yourself than it already is, and it has already been for the last minute and a half. You know what I mean? You need to drop a play to get a wide open shot. And I know that you should put the ball in your hands of your best player, and they should be able to do it. This is not the NBA. This is college. It's a little different. People want to always say that it's not about the player in college, it's about the team, it's about the program, it's about the system they run. Run the system. Just run it. Get a wide open shot. Cooper had made a 3 pointer um, in the close corner. Um, I think with 3 minutes left, maybe 2.5 minutes left. Um, I'm not saying I want him to take a three, but I'd rather Cooper take a wide open three and miss it than take a turnaround, spin, falling away shot. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. Again, like I told you guys the stats, like maybe give it to Khan. He was 3 of 5 from three, 16 points, 5 of 9. Like maybe give it to him. Like I don't know. Like Proctor didn't make a three all game. Sion made 1 3. I don't know. Just I would have liked a different shot. Um, let me look at the play by play and let me see. Let me see the last. I can't click on these. Damn. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and they lost the game, and that's crazy. They lost the game in the last minute. Yeah, the last minute 30, the game was lost. But that's college hoops. Tonight for the men's is the last night of college hoops. It's the final game for the national championship. Florida Gators versus the Houston Cougars. Um, Florida is another tough and gritty team. Um, I will give my prediction, and I will say, off of the backs of what Houston did last night or a couple nights ago, I'm gonna give it to Houston. I think Houston has this. I think they're just such on a roll. Um, Give me Houston. That game is at 8:50 apparently. I think they're supposed to say 9, but they say 8:50. And yeah, that's the college hoops. The women's side is done. The men's side will finish tonight. Um, I feel like I'm forgetting something about this women's game, but not really, not really. Um, Paige Beckers, this was her last game as a Husky. Um, she will be going to the WNBA. Hopefully, the first pick to the Dallas Wings. Easy Fudd will return. I think that's it. And Cooper Flag, this was his last game for the Duke Blue Devils. There's been rumors flown that he's going to come back. I don't think he's coming back. I think he's going to the league. Um, he will be the number one pick in the NBA draft this fall. And yeah, that's it. Let's hop in and preview some NBA games for tonight or for the week. Um, Tuesday night, there are no primetime games tonight. There's only 2 games tonight. The primetime games start Tuesday. You have Knicks or Boston versus the Knicks in New York. Um, Jalen Brunson is back. He played his first game last night, um, back from injury, around right on schedule, I'd say. Um, Give me Boston though. I wouldn't be surprised if Boston dropped this game since it's so late in the season, and I don't think they can go up any further in the standings. So it doesn't really matter if they drop a game. Let me see. I can pull up the standings right here real quick. Um, yeah, I don't think they're no, they're not catching. They're not catching Cleveland. They've already clinched a playoff spot. Um, oh, have they? Uh, yeah, they have. Yeah. Clinched a playoff berth. Yeah, they did. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yes, they have clinched a playoff spot. Um, this game is more important for New York to win so they can stay above Indiana. Um, but give me Boston tomorrow night. The next game, Golden State versus Phoenix. Steph Curry had a very bad game last night. Golden State is traveling to Phoenix to play in Phoenix. Um, I believe Kevin Durant is still out. Perhaps, maybe I'm wrong. I've been so locked in on these. Yeah, he's out on these college hoops that I just haven't been paying attention too much to the NBA. Give me Golden State. I don't think Golden State has a repeat of the night previous to Houston. Um, Wednesday night. Let's see here. Los Angeles in Dallas. Ooh, Luka's return to Dallas. Oh, that is gonna be nice. That's gonna be nice to watch. Um, Anthony Davis is back for Dallas. He's been healthy. He's played a couple games. Oof. Luka's been struggling, man. Luka's been really struggling as a Laker. They did get a great win against Oklahoma the other night. Um, but man, if Anthony Davis starts going off, the Lakers have no answer for him. They have no other big to answer for Anthony Davis. Um, I'm gonna take a surprise pick and take Dallas on Wednesday night. And the last game for Wednesday, we won't get too far ahead of ourselves here. Denver versus Sacramento. I at this point, Denver could drop a game and I won't be surprised, but give me Denver. Um, Sacramento's just such a mess right now. Let's see. Have they even won? Let me see here. Let me see. Uh, ooh, ooh. Trying to find their schedule. I can't find it. Here it is. Ooh, yeah, they got 4 games left. Um, Detroit. They play Detroit, and then they go back home, and they have the last 3 games at home. Give me Denver, yeah. Give me Denver on Wednesday night. And yeah, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the college talk. Um, we'll talk about the men's game eventually. Probably won't be right after, but you'll get I will be watching and we'll talk about it. Um, like I mentioned with the Sacramento Kings, the NBA season, regular season is coming to an end. Um, I already did awards and I have to do my All NBA, so I will work on my All NBA this week, and you guys will get an NBA, All NBA. We're not gonna do all defensive because I've never done all defensive. In my free time in the past, I have done All NBA just for the fun of it, and I'll do it for you guys for the first time this year. But yeah, be on the lookout for that. And yeah, we're almost to playoff time in the NBA. It's a great time of the year. College is ending. NBA regular season is ending. The playoffs are going to start. The play-in is going to start. We're going to get into the WNBA draft eventually. It's a great time. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.